Good Monday morning, my peeps. This is Adrienne Talks, and I am so excited to have Penny Fitzgerald here with me. Penny, say hi to everybody and introduce yourself.
Hello. Hi, I am Penny Fitzgerald. I do a podcast called Penny for Your Shots, Conversations and Cocktails with Brilliant Women. So here I am talking with a brilliant woman right now.
Oh,
Love
you're
it.
so sweet. I love that title too. It's so fun.
Yeah, I used to be, for your listeners, I know you have a lot of direct sellers
Yep.
online, and I used to run a team of a little over 600 people in the direct sales field. We did in-home wine tastings
Yes.
and just absolutely loved it. Our company closed down oh gosh, about 7 months ago now. But
Wow.
yeah, I'm focusing now on the next thing and using the skills that I learned in direct sales because there are a lot of them.
Oh man, that is the best part about direct sales, all the personal development that you get from it, right? Like,
There's
I
a
mean, the relationships and the
Oh
personal
my
development.
gosh. Yeah, the friendships, yeah, it's hard to say what's the best part, but yeah, definitely the skills that you learn and then the people that you meet, the friendships that you form, the relationships, it's all very, very good things.
I know. It's so incredible. I mean, you sound like such a rock star in that industry and indirect sales. So I love that you're sharing, you keep sharing because that's why I started this podcast was just I love direct sales so much. Same thing. Like I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have learned what I learned or met the people I met. And so I wanted to start this so people that might not have leaders or are starting fresh and
Mm.
just need a community. So I love that you're part of this community. And I'm excited for you to share some of your, hidden gems that can help my listeners too.
Well, very good. Yeah, I'm always anxious to share and love to help lift other women up for sure.
Yes, I love that about you. So that's awesome. So I know we talked a lot about like you were really good at goal setting to get you to this team of, 600. That is huge. So would you share a little bit of that, like the things you learned and how this really helped you to develop yourself and your team and your business?
Yeah, I think it's important to have a vision. And so often we often come from backgrounds where we aren't sure of ourselves. We're maybe not quite confident. We're just learning about our new company, especially, those that are new in their business.
Mm-hmm.
But even as you grow, even as you start building a team, if you're starting to grow, if you have maybe you have a dream or a desire that, gosh, I want to be like Adrienne, or I want to be like my upline, or I want to be like, you want to shoot for the moon,
Yeah.
but you don't feel like it's really for you, or you don't feel like you're worthy of it just yet. So, yeah, I think casting that vision and believing in yourself is difficult, but if you set smaller goals along the way, maybe look at your company's trip, or what are they offering as incentives, or what do you want for yourself? If your company doesn't offer an incentive, what do you want? Do you want a family vacation for your kids and your husband, or yourself, or maybe you just want a spa day?
Yeah. I love that. I love that too because I think so many people like you said when they're first starting I never thought I would be, in the top level of leadership with my
Right,
company. I was just started so I could make $300 to stay home with my
right.
kids,
Yep.
and that's all I wanted to do. And so I think you're so right is like figuring out what's really driving you and then
Mhm.
letting it grow and and believing in yourself from there as it grows bigger,
Yeah,
knowing that like you can handle it as it comes and this is a beautiful path that you're on, right? uh,
right.
but you got to take some steps like you said.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, so when you kind of figure out your why and you know why you're doing it, what
Mhm.
are some of the things that got you through, when maybe it wasn't going great or maybe you started to doubt yourself? What are some of the
Oh
tricks
gosh.
that you use?
Well, yeah, good question. Yeah, and I feel like everybody goes through that. Everybody doubts themselves at some point, and especially if your dreams are big and bold and scary. If they're not, make a bigger dream, you know?
Well, and even when you first start, sometimes just making $300 was big and
Oh,
bold and
it
scary, right?
is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we only move as quickly as we're able to, as our fear keeps us safe.
Hmm.
So if you take baby steps toward that goal, reward yourself along the way and recognize that, oh, I did that. I did those things that I said I was going to do. Take those two steps, or break it down as the way that I approach goals is I have my big, bold, hairy, scary one,
Yes.
and you try and break that one down into smaller chunks. And then what are the actionable steps that I need to take to get towards that goal? So just break it down. And if you're not sure how to do that, I'm sure, Adrienne, you in your company, you have, actionable items that you can work with and
Right.
take steps to break those things down. But one thing that I like to do too is take that big hairy thing, find pictures of it, and you can do this digitally or even on a poster board, old school. I did it for like 18 years. So, I mean, back in the day before we had the internet, so-
Well, I think there is something to that though, because I still have mine sitting right next to my computer
Yes,
with pictures, like because I want to see it every day. And I know on your
exactly.
phone you see it, but you have to like go find it, unless it's your screensaver or something. So
Exactly. Exactly. And then it's fleeting, because you're working on from your phone or your computer. So
yes.
you're like moving through things quickly. But yeah, if you have a physical poster in front of you, you can see it every day and
Yep.
they really work. They
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
Just seeing it, even if it's in your peripheral vision, it sinks in on some level. And yeah, they really help. So yeah, create a goal poster and yeah, break it down into actionable items and celebrate those successes along the way. Have some smaller goals that implement or that take you toward the big thing that you're working toward, and then
Yeah.
celebrate.
Yeah, that's what so I did one of those poster boards like way before I even started really leadership or anything. And I
Uh-huh.
kind of had these dream things on the board. And like you said, you'd be amazed when it's in your peripheral what it does because all of a sudden one day I was like, I should look at that. Like I kind of got further and,
Uh-huh.
grew in leadership and stuff like that. And I tell you what, there's a kitchen on there. And we had our kitchen redone with some of the money. And I couldn't believe how similar it looked without me
Mm-hmm.
really looking at that every day, but I was,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah, I've got goosebumps. I did the same thing with my goal poster from, I think it was from 16 or 17. I keep them because they're fun to look back on.
Oh, yeah. I started putting dates like, oh, I achieved that date.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, but I looked back at mine from way back then, and since that, I mean, it was years later, but our second home in Florida that we bought, the entrance to it looks very similar to one of the pictures
Isn't
on the
it
goal poster. It
crazy?
is very, yeah, it's kind of fun to manifest that stuff, I mean, you kind of think, oh, that's woo woo, but yeah, it
But it's
works.
amazing how your mind's working. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it really is like without you even knowing that subconscious picture in front of you. Like I said, a
Yep.
couple of the things I was like, when they happened, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like almost exactly. And I didn't use that as like a template to get my kitchen. It just happened to be afterwards. I was
Exactly.
like, oh, that's crazy. So,
Yeah, yeah. One of my leaders on my team, we were making our posters together, and she had a picture of a school of fish and a bigger fish in front of it. And it was her goal to grow a team.
oh, that's a
At,
cute visual.
it was very cute. And then at the end of the year, she reviewed it. And at that moment in time, at the end of the year, she had 57 team members. There were 57 fish in that school of fish.
No,
Yeah.
that's
It was
crazy.
so bizarre. Yeah, it was one of those freaky moments that you're like, "Oh my God,"
It
it
really
really works.
works.
Yeah.
That's funny. And I totally get it. So I love that, you kind of figure out your why in the smaller places. You have your bigger goals right on the board
Mhm.
that you're looking at.
Yep.
But like we talked about, like throughout that you're gonna have hiccups, right? Like you said, we're
Yep.
gonna doubt ourselves. We're gonna hit moments where we're skyrocketing and then all of a sudden it levels out or maybe even starts downshifting a little.
Yes.
So what
Mhm.
are some ways that you kind of got through that? And how do you work with that too, with your team and yourself?
Yeah, that's well, in the words of the great philosopher Taylor Swift, shake it off.
I love that. Shake it up.
Shake it off. Yes. Yes, for sure. And that's easier said than done sometimes, right? Because it's very it's it hurts, when you're working so hard and then maybe you have a lot of no's in a row, or you have team members maybe quit, or you hit those roadblocks,
Right.
and things are not moving toward what you had envisioned for your team or for your own business. So
Right.
Yeah, you really have to remember your why. Like, why am I doing this? And not necessarily that big thing, but the $300 that you
Hmm.
need for your budget or for your family. And um, not that you don't want to make it feel like, ugh, I have to do this.
Right.
But yeah, but keeping in mind the important things. What's really important to me? What do I value? Am I doing the things that I need to do? Am I focusing on the effort? Because if you focus on the effort and do something every day to move your business forward, and it could be something super simple,
Yeah.
like two texts. That's
Hmm.
just doing something for your business that you need to do. Have you been doing that? And if you have, then realize that, okay, the results will come. If I focus on the effort, I know the results will come. Today's a not so fun day, but tomorrow will be better. And just keep focusing on those efforts.
It's so true. I love all of what you just said about the shaking it off too, because we always have to remember we do have, a bad day, and it's okay. That's allowed. And
Hmm.
but it's what you do with the next day, right? And it's what, like
Yeah.
you said, what you do with those small moments. Because I was just working with another team member of mine, and she didn't have much on the books, and I needed
Mm.
a few more things on the books, and we literally sat down for 15 minutes and just did what you said. We're like, we're just going to message some people, and I think
Yes.
between the two of us, we booked 10 parties, and it was
Oh
less
my
than
gosh.
15 minutes,
Yes. And
right?
that's another good point is have a buddy. Do it
Right.
with a buddy and then you can spur each other on. But one cautionary tale, don't like that's the other thing I was going to mention. Don't if you have a bad day, don't complain about it to somebody that's at the same level.
Right.
Go to your upline
Yes,
and talk about
always.
yeah, because
Or
we've
or
all
like
been
I
through
always
it.
I always work with them like, let's find a solution. We can complain, but that's not going to
Yep.
change anything, right?
One
Like when
minute.
we
Yeah.
what?
I'm sorry. We want, yeah, 1 minute pity party.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a pity party of one, be done.
Exactly. Because you totally, I think sometimes we try to force that away too, right? Like, oh no, it's fine, it's fine. But you have to feel it. You have to feel in the
Yes.
moment, I'm sad right now, and this isn't what I wanted.
Yep.
But like you said, it's then going, okay, you're right. I'm disappointed. This didn't happen exactly as I wanted. But what can I do to shake it off and find a way to make it be what I wanted? Right. And
Exactly.
I think
Yep.
so many people give up before they do that a couple of times. And it might take
Yes.
more than two or three times. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. It's uncomfortable in the moment, right? But that means you're
Very.
growing. If
And
you're just focus on that effort, you know that you're growing and yeah, it gets easier. It
yeah.
does get better.
I love that, like the growing side of it, because it is true when you hit a hiccup or something's not going great, when you can shake it off and figure out that other way, right? Then you
Exactly.
can then you are growing, because you
Yeah.
could, in the past you might have just sat there in it. And so that
Hmm.
is such a great point. If you can pat yourself on the back and go, this had to happen so I can grow.
Yeah. Right. Right. And yeah, just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
I I love that. And so the other thing I wanted to ask you, because I know obviously with your size team and everything you went through, um, you like, you know, you start here, right? Like I said, like I started with $300 and slowly built. Like,
Mhm.
how did you start, thinking bigger and building your belief? Like, what did
Mm.
that look like? And how do you kind of help people realize, like what you said, like you look back and you're like, whoa, I'm now messaging somebody every day. That's a big improvement from before when I couldn't even pick up the phone once a month, right? Like,
Right.
so how did you build that belief in yourself and or other
Oh,
people, or how did that look for you, or any
yeah.
tips, I guess?
Yeah, it was something I think it was kind of a trial by fire kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it took me a while to get started really with building my team. It took me like 10 months to even feel that I could add a team member. And that first team member was like, "Hey, that looks like fun. I think I want to do that."
And
You
you're like,
know?
wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe I could do something a little bit bigger here. And yeah, so that was interesting. But then what really got me going, I think, is the first incentive trip that was presented to me um, was a trip to Italy.
Oh, that's a nice
And
one.
I exactly. And I thought, oh my gosh, I really wanted to go. And just the thought of being in Tuscany, sipping wine and overlooking the hillside, it just, the vision of it was so
Mhm.
real. And it was so much bigger than I could even envision for myself. And but I just looked at, what is required. And I thought, there's no way I can do all that stuff. There's no way I'm going to Italy. And then I'm like, mm. How bad do I want it?
Yeah, exactly.
You
If you're going to
know?
start saying you can't do it, yeah, you got to go, wait,
Exactly.
but
You
I really
cannot
want to
say
go.
that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You can say that for a second and then be done with that.
Yeah.
Like, no, no, no,
And
no.
it'll creep back in and you have to go, I really want to
Uh-huh.
go. I'm not listening to you.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm blessed with being a little bit stubborn. So be more stubborn than that little voice in the back of your head that nags at you that says, who are you to do this? And no, no, who am I not to do this?
Exactly. I love
Yeah,
that. Who am I
watch
not
me.
to do this?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So you sort of broke it down
Hmm.
when you saw this trip, like,
Yep.
so you decided you were going to do it. So
Yep.
how did that work out? Like, I'm sure there were moments of doubt and all that. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, I literally went to a coffee shop. I still have the notebook. I have those composition notebooks that I write my journaling in and my thoughts on how I can do it. And so I broke it down and this is what I'm going to need. I'm going to need this many team members. I'm going to need this much in sales, which equates to this many parties a month and this many, because if you know your numbers, like how
right,
much, what's my normal, what is my average,
right.
and then break it down. Like that means I need to talk to two new people every day.
Hmm.
And it means I need to have, 10 events a month. And, it was big, but I knew
You
what I
were
had to
going to
do.
Italy.
Yeah, exactly. I knew what I had to do. So I broke it down and I created a goal poster. So, and I filled it in. I had like a wine glass, and then like an empty wine glass. And then every time I inched towards it, I'd color it in with some red to make it, fill it up.
Yes, I love that. I think the visual is so important because it's funny. My story's a little similar. They said an Alaskan cruise at Homemade Gourmet, and I had never
Oh,
earned a trip. And so I was like, I'm doing it. And they had like a cruise ship with the portals,
oh,
and
cool.
so my kids and my husband would look at me and be like, you haven't filled one of those in a while. What's going on? And so it kind of like, you know,
It's a
kept it,
family goal.
yeah, it kept it in the forefront. But I think that visual, that's so cute that you made your own little visual. And I think that's something that's such a great point for my listeners out there. If you're working, whether it is a trip or like you said, you're just trying to plan your own trip and you know how much money it
Right,
takes,
right.
you can break it down. Like, you want to go to Italy on your own, you find out how much those tickets are and the place you want to stay is, and then you can break it down and do that same type of wine
Exactly.
glass, take a picture of the country you want to go to and start filling it
Yep,
in whatever way
yep.
you want to break it down. I think the
Mhm.
visual really does help for sure. I love that.
Absolutely. And the more you can really internalize it, like what you want, like for example, Italy. Think about the wine you're going to drink, the smells you're going to, like the lavender in the fields, the meals that are prepared and brought to you, like all of it, get all of
All
your
the
senses
pasta.
engaged. Yeah. Yes.
That's so smart to like really get down to some of the details of what you really. So is
Yeah.
that kind of what you did when you were working on yours?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thought about like who am I going to be sitting next to sipping this wine and like how's my husband going to feel? He's going to be so proud of me and those kinds of things that
Oh,
are the things that make you engage all of your senses and feel that you're right there.
yes.
Then it helps you like really make it come true,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. I love that. And so when you were there, did you take time to like kind of go, oh my gosh, like here I am and feel those
Yeah.
feels? Like, how did
Yeah.
that work for you?
Yeah, it was really neat that we spent a couple extra days and went in with some good friends early and went to Rome. And we were at the Intercontinental on their rooftop bar having a glass of wine overlooking all of Rome.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, you could see the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which is a big monument that's lit up at night. You could see the Vatican. You could just look out over 100, not quite a 360-degree view because there was a building behind us, but in front of us you could see all of that.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was just mind-blowing that here we are. Wow, here we are.
I love that you took that time because that's the other thing, like you said, when you're working towards a goal or anything as you build, you gotta take the minute to feel the reward, right? To sit there and
Yeah.
go, this is what that whole time, all this work and
Yeah.
all this, like, here's my senses and it's all here, what exactly
Yeah.
I wanted, right?
Yeah, and sit in gratitude because that propels you. I think, the more grateful you are for where you are in this moment, even not in Italy yet, but the more grateful you are for where you are, the
Right.
more you can see forward and think bigger.
Oh, that's such a great point too, because so many people, they're afraid to set the big goal. But when you
Hmm.
set it, then you can take moments and say, I might, even if you don't make it, you wouldn't have gotten as far without setting a goal like that. I always tell
Right.
people, I'm like, you're going to do more. I mean, I even know that I set little minimal goals for me each month that I'm like, I'm going to try this and I want to do this or make
Yep.
something little. And I know if I wouldn't have set that, I never would have gotten even that much
Yeah.
closer, even if I don't make it exact.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even if you didn't set a goal or didn't think about that, you would be you may have done that, but then you don't recognize the effort that you put in. You don't celebrate it because you didn't think about it
Yeah,
beforehand.
you didn't well, yeah, you didn't set that goal. That's so
Yeah.
true. That's so
Yeah.
true. I love that. These are such great tips. I love the forming a plan and taking it down to bite size, with and having that big vision of the why. Um, Definitely. So is that kind of what gets you through? So when you stumble, what were some of the things that did you just sit down and kind of feel those senses, or what did you use to get through?
Mm-mm.
Like as our listeners are sitting there and they've got their why and they
Uh-huh.
know why they're doing it.
Yep.
What would, when they have that day, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you kind of do sometimes to get you through that?
Yeah, I have a unique situation that I did not have an upline. If I did, I probably would have called her,
Right.
but I had peers that were kind of at the same level and working for the same things or similar things that we would be accountable to each other. So that was really helpful, like calling somebody who knows, who's been there, done that, or is doing it with you. That's very helpful because,
Yes.
yeah, and you want to stay away from, like, again, complaining or being like, oh, I had such a bad day, but instead be like, okay, do you have any language? Here's what happened today, and I know this is passing, but I just need to sit in it for a second. But then what do I do? I mean, always
Right.
turn it around at the end of your conversation to how are we going to change this?
I love that. That is such a great point because when other people are in it, usually your bad day is probably not their bad day. So when you
Yeah,
call them, they might be like, "Oh no, we got this." And then
yeah,
the next day they might call you and you'll be like, "Oh no,
exactly.
after what we did yesterday, we totally have this." So that's
We have this. Yeah, exactly.
surrounding yourself with those positive people that also look for the solutions, like you said, and don't
Yeah,
look at the road bumps, they look at the solutions. I mean,
exactly.
that's a hard thing to find nowadays. And it is another thing I love about direct sales. A lot of people in direct sales that are going for a goal find that like we can sit here and look at what's not going right, but instead let's look at what did go right and how do we keep
Exactly.
finding more to make it go right?
Yeah. Choose your people wisely.
Yes,
Yes.
for sure. For sure. Well, I appreciate all this. This has been such great information. I'm excited. The listeners will be in the community, so I will also have you in there. So if they have any
Oh, fun.
questions, that we can do the follow up. But I always love to ask if you had one piece of advice for my listeners, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Dream bigger. We don't know what we're capable of. I think we again limit ourselves because we know what we've done in the past, but then dreaming bigger, doing more pushes us forward. So always, try and dream bigger. And if you can't see it for yourself, ask one of your best friends because they will definitely see more for you than you do for yourself.
I love that is my favorite tip. I actually told my daughter that yesterday. She was talking about
Mm.
something, and I go, "What if your friend came to you and said, 'I want this?'" And Cindy would be like, "I'd be like, 'Go get it, girl. You got this.'" I was like, "Okay, so go get it,
Uh-huh.
girl. You got this." Like
Yes,
it's crazy how
exactly.
we talk so differently to ourselves than we
Yep.
would our
We
best
are
friend.
our harshest critics. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sad really, but yeah, be your own best buddy and go talk to your best buddy and have them lift you up because they will.
So when you just one more question to clarify
Yeah.
because I love this dream bigger.
Yeah.
So how do you push yourself? How in the past, I mean, we all
Mhm.
kind of kind of set maybe comfortable goals. Like I'm sure when Italy happened and you decided that was like a big jump. But
Yeah.
when you're doing the smaller jumps,
Mhm.
how do you know when you're pushing yourself a little bit bigger? What are some tips you can give to just push yourself that little bit more?
Okay. That's a great question because I think the way that you know that your dream is big enough is if it scares the snot out of you.
I love that.
If it is so, so big that you are so scared that, oh, I can't do it, then you know you're on the right track.
Like you get that pit in your stomach and you're like, whoa, God,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's not going to happen.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming, Penny. Thanks for sharing all your nuggets of wisdom. And I'm excited for everybody to be in the community this week and share, what maybe they're pushing themselves to. And if we can help you guys at all, Penny and I will be there to kind of give you that little
Absolutely.
push and make you dream a little bigger, right?
That's right. That's right.
So thank you, Penny, for coming on.
Thank you.
And you guys, until next week, when Yo Adrienne talks, realize the power is within you.